That's a very interesting comment. One final question. Then, in the perspective of what you have just said right now, how do you see Pakistan's economic and financial system? Or how do you visualize that it should be in another 5-10 years?
Well, assuming that, of course, assuming that the present political parties are not the ones who are in charge, and I mean either one of them, there are two.
Or how it should be, rather.
Yeah, see, how it should be depends on who's running it. And certainly, if we are given this privilege to have anything to do with it, you will see changes that you have not seen since Pakistan was founded. And I think these will be changes for the better. They will demand efficiency, they will demand honesty, they will be policies based on self-supporting policies, self-financing policies. We will be thinking out of the box. We will be doing things that have not been done before. And the net result, sooner or later, will end up being to the benefit of all Pakistanis, rich and poor.
One final question. What would be your first few steps if you're inducted into power as far as the economy is concerned?
I think that question, answering that question, needs an assessment of the situation when we do get there, because things are changing. So I can't tell you right now at this point what the first few steps would be. It would have to depend on what the exact situation is at that time. But certainly we will initiate steps to bring back, some of the things we will do, which I can tell you, is initiate steps to bring back into public ownership the assets that have been thrown away right now. And there's one more thing I want to clarify when we were, if I can just take a few more minutes. When we were talking about the issue of privatization, there are two, and I mentioned that when we were talking about that there are two types of privatization. One has to do with public utilities. The other has to do with industry. Now here we have gone completely the wrong way. In other words, we believe that the government should have nothing to do with running industry. And the policies, decisions that were made during the first Bhutto government were completely wrong, where whole swaths of industry were nationalized. And this resulted in a destruction, a blow to Pakistan's economy from which it has still not recovered. I mean, it was a huge blow, where Pakistan was at the point of industrial takeoff, and this was sabotaged by some a policy that is not understandable under any circumstances, where all of industry was nationalized. Now, unfortunately, we still have some remnants of that nationalization in existence. And these assets now, these industrial assets, our party believes the government has no business being in. So we will attempt to unload these assets, and the biggest one of these is the Pakistan Steel Mill, for instance. And this is not a viable mill. It must be shut down or sold. And I don't think there will be any buyers, because it's extremely old technology, extremely inefficient. The only viable step is to shut it down. Of course, there are a lot of people who work there, so you have to do it in a careful kind of way so that people are accommodated and it doesn't result in a sudden flood of unemployment. But it certainly has to be shut down. It certainly has to be shut down, because the government is, the government cannot be in industry. This is where the private sector has to be involved, and this is where the private sector should be given a blank sort of slate to go ahead and do these things.
Although it's pretty different from what many people say, that Pakistan Steel Mill, for instance, that is, from a security point of view, Pakistan needs steel mills.
I don't think Pakistan needs. I mean, Pakistan does need steel mills. Let's just put it this way, but not this one big one. There are many ways to make steel. This is an extremely expensive way to do it. There have been ideas proposed by Pakistani scientists based on Pakistani materials. Do you know the raw materials for this mill are imported all from outside? The coal comes from Australia, the ore comes from Brazil. It's crazy. And we have both of these things in Pakistan. We have iron ore, we have coal. So, it's an absolute white elephant, this project, and it has to go. That doesn't mean we won't have any steel capacity. We have to put in steel capacity, but these will be smaller, more flexible plants based on our own technology and on our own raw materials. And it can be done, and it will be done, inshallah.
So basically you intend to embark upon a revolutionary sort of...
I wouldn't use that word revolution because it has contexts that are misleading, but certainly we will be doing things
differently.
Very, very differently. And I use the term out of the box, and it will be out of the box, out of the envelope, and it will be.
Good luck, Mr. Qureshi.
Thank
you so much.
I think we'll need it. Thank you.